In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to create and sell online courses with ThriveCart. ThriveCart is a popular checkout platform, but you may not know that they're also a course creation platform that could replace Thinkific, Teachable, or Kajabi for your business, saving you potentially hundreds of dollars per month. So I'm excited to bring you behind the scenes, show you how to create and sell online courses with ThriveCart, and help you decide if this could be the right fit for you. Hey, I'm Melissa, and welcome back to Wit and Wire, where we help creators turn their skills and passions into profitable online businesses. In case you're new to ThriveCart, it's a popular checkout tool that allows you to price and sell physical or digital goods through your business. I've been using ThriveCart as my primary checkout platform for Wit and Wire since mid-2020, and you can see my revenue has grown every year, and in the last 2.5 years, I've netted just over $400,000 in revenue through my ThriveCart sales. As a quick note, I do have other revenue channels, and this again is revenue, not profit. So if you are interested in a full ThriveCart tutorial that focuses more on the checkout side, leave me a comment below. But for today, I'm excited to explore the ThriveCart Learn section of the platform. First, I want to talk about cost, because ThriveCart charges much differently than competitors. Instead of charging a monthly or annual subscription, ThriveCart currently offers a one-time lifetime deal. That means that what you pay for today, you retain access to indefinitely without a recurring subscription. Yes, it is a bigger upfront payment, but when you compare ThriveCart against other course creation platforms, the cost of ThriveCart's lifetime deal is currently less than 1 year of another course creation platform. So the value of ThriveCart is massive, and it could save you hundreds of dollars per year as an online business owner. To share some specifics, as of the time of this recording, ThriveCart's standard plan is $495. And remember, this is non-recurring. This is for lifetime access. It's a one-time payment. And at this price point, you get unlimited products, checkout pages, coupon codes, funnels, and crucially for today's tutorial, you also unlock ThriveCart Learn, their course creation platform. So this is all included at that $495 price point. Now this one is great, but what I would say is that I recommend ThriveCart Pro, which is the upgrade pick. It is $195 more than the standard plan, so the total is $690. But the reason why this is my choice and what I personally use is because if you look at these features on the right, I think they are so powerful and well worth the $195 add-on. First, you can create your own affiliate program. So now you would be able to have affiliates promote your own products, and they would receive a commission for any product sold. You can also work with JV partners. So if you wanted to do a partnership and share a payment with somebody else, now you have that option with JV contracts. You also unlock simple sales tax functionality, which means that at checkout, ThriveCart will automatically calculate taxes based on some inputs that you share during the product creation process. And I think that that's huge. The other feature worth mentioning is called dunning. That means that if a payment fails, you can choose to have ThriveCart automatically follow up with those buyers to help them update their credit card info, which can help you collect more payments over time. In my eyes, this $195 is well worth it. This is my pick, but you can see the side-by-side comparison at witandwire.com/ThriveCart. There's one more add-on I want to talk about, and this is called Learn Plus. So in both previous tiers, you unlock ThriveCart Learn. That is ThriveCart's course creation platform. I would say that that's going to be perfectly fine for most business owners, but as you start building, you might be prompted to upgrade to Learn Plus, which is a one-time $150 add-on as of the time of this recording. And this gives you some advanced course creation tools. You can create what they call advanced sequences. You can bundle and sell courses together. You can import bulk students. So if you are migrating from another platform, this would be a must-have add-on for you. And you could create a separate custom domain for your courses. What I will say is also interesting in Learn Plus, just to give you an example of an advanced sequence, is that you could give access to parts of courses to some people, but not others. So if you had a course and there was a bonus lesson that only certain buyers at certain price points should have access to, that's just one example of a way you could utilize advanced sequences. For most business owners, I think you can get started without Learn Plus, unless, like I said, you're migrating from another platform. Now that we've covered the price points, let's take a look in ThriveCart so we can see what the Learn platform looks like. Previously, we were looking at my dashboard, and if you're familiar with ThriveCart, you've most likely used the products area. This is where you can create your own checkout pages and price points. You may also be familiar with the Transactions tab where you can see all of your past sales. But for today, we're going to focus on the Learn tab. So that's what you can see here. And I cleared out my courses so that we're starting from scratch, just as you would be seeing in your new account. The first step that we want to take is adding a new course to ThriveCart. You can see right now, there's actually no button that says add new course. So what you want to do first is add a new project. They recommend thinking of these as folders. To be perfectly honest though, I would just make one called courses and click create my project. In the future, you might learn that you have different groups that benefit from having different names, but this is really just for internal organization. Unless they've updated something, it doesn't actually reflect on the student dashboard. So I would keep things simple unless you know you have 10 or more courses that would need to be categorized. Now that I've got a folder, let's click create a new course. I'm going to build a mock-up of my signature program course builders. So let's type in the name, and I'm going to upload a course logo. This is traditionally called a thumbnail in other platforms, so it's a rectangular image that students would see when they log into their portal. I went ahead and added a little more info, so you can see now we have the course thumbnail here, my name as the author and my headshot. I added a brief description and my support team's contact info. You can change this at any time, and I'll show you how. But scrolling down, you have one more prompt to choose your course layout. My personal preference is to keep this standard. This is where you see a sidebar on the left with the course outline, and I think that's what most online learners are used to. So this is my personal favorite, and I'm going to click create my course to move forward. Here on the left, this is where you can see that info I just added. So you can change the layout, change the thumbnail, change your name, the title, the description. All of that is here, so none of those decisions are permanent. I also briefly want to talk about your course options before we start building lessons. So here you could change your support email address, and you can decide what happens if a student's payment plan fails. This could apply to you if your course is part of a recurring subscription or if you have a payment plan for your course. And I typically change this to disable access until their next payment is made, but it's up to you. I'm not going to go through every single feature. I want to focus on the highlights. And one of those highlights is called behavior rules. Behavior rules are automations. So when a student takes an action, you could initiate a follow-up response. So just to show you a few examples, when you click add rule, you can see that some of the triggers are about when a student gets access to the course, when they complete a certain module or a section, when they complete the whole course, or if somebody is unenrolled. Any of these triggers could lead to automated follow-up actions. So as just one example, I have integrated my ThriveCart account with ActiveCampaign, my email service provider. So if somebody completed a certain module, maybe I would add them to a certain tag that tells me that they've completed that section. Maybe it triggers an email. There are so many possibilities. So I'm just going to click close for now, but I wanted to show you what this was capable of. For now, let's head back over to course content. Next, let's talk about adding modules and lessons in ThriveCart. So a module is a group of sections. And back over here on the course content tab, you can see add a module, which is a group, or a lesson, which is an individual unit. So to get started, we're going to click create module, and I'm going to call this module 1, profitable idea. And I'm going to make this available to all students. Now, to be clear, it's not going to be immediately published. It would be in draft mode. But this is where you see one of those interesting features from Learn Plus. If you are on that upgraded tier, you would have the ability to make certain modules available only to certain subsets of your students, which I think is really interesting. I don't think it's necessary, probably, for most business owners just getting started. So for now, I'm going to stick with all students and click create my module. You could also drag and drop in additional modules. So maybe I would call this module 2, planning, and then maybe we'll do module 3 and call this one offer. This gives me a good starting point. And now I can talk about adding lessons. Typically in other course platforms, I would drag and drop in a lesson. I would call it, let's say the first lesson is called the bridge theory, and I would click create my lesson. Then what I would do is continue adding lessons until I had built all of these out. But there are some tricky nuances in ThriveCart. So before we do that, I'm actually going to change gears a little bit and talk about how to customize the look and feel of your course in ThriveCart. This is not the most intuitive, but what we're going to do is click edit, and this will bring us into the lesson editor. Now, I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to teach you how to add videos and edit this section. But what I want to show you first is over on the side menu. If you scroll down, you have this middle section called course options. And this is where you can actually apply some default styling to the entire course. For example, if you click into title styling, you could go through and change the fonts for the course title, for the module titles, and for the lesson titles. So the default is Poppins, but maybe I'll switch that to another more Wit and Wire branded font, For today, I'll use our retro fonts from our original branding, and I'm going to lock that in by clicking done. And then you can see this brings me back to the main sidebar. So scrolling down, we just did title styling. The one that'll be a little bit more of an obvious impact is to update this sidebar. So right now we're looking at this section on the left, and you can see that the active tab is right here. And even if I just change this color to this green, you can see that makes an immediate change. And this would be a course-wide change. It's not only for this lesson, it's for every lesson in this course experience. So I'm going to just make a few changes to the colors in the sidebar. There's one more zone where you can customize your settings, and that is scrolling further down below the word default styling to see the course navigation, the progress. All of this will universally change what students see across the course. So for example, the navbar link, if I change this even just to this red, do you see it changes on the top left corner? These are the kinds of settings that affect the entire course experience. So I would recommend that you go through these and you change them. Maybe I'll just pick a few for now. So I might change that link. I might want to actually change the whole color of the sidebar. So you could do that here. Maybe I'll just do something a little bit subtle. And so now it stands out a little bit against the lesson area. It's up to you also to decide if you want to keep the progress bar on. Maybe you toggle this on or off, as well as the author info on or off. And you'll notice when I toggle those, it either shows or hides the boxes that would help you customize those zones. So all of this is completely up to you, and you can start to see just how customizable the ThriveCart course experience can be. Next, let's add lessons and videos to your ThriveCart course. So before I showed you that you could add a lesson by just dragging and dropping this in, giving it a title like Brainstorm Course Outcomes, and then clicking Create My Lesson. And you could continue doing this to build out your outline and then edit them individually, but there is a little nuance here worth mentioning. So I'm going to click Edit to head into the first lesson, the Bridge Theory, to show you what I mean. So before, we customized what I would call like the frame of the course. And everything here on the top and the side, all of that is going to be uniform throughout this entire course. But what's interesting about ThriveCart is the fact that currently they don't apply universal styling changes to the actual lesson content. So here I can see this font, this text block, and even this section on the bottom. These changes will only affect the individual lesson that I'm working on. So what I often do when I'm building in ThriveCart Learn is I create what I call a template lesson, and then instead of adding new lessons, I just duplicate the one that has already got the branding, the fonts, the styling that I've pre-selected. So let me show you how to do that. So what I would do first is click on this header, and I would change the font to match the one that we've been choosing. So for this demo, we've been using Lato, so let's keep it consistent here. You could decide if you liked the sizing, if you liked the letter spacing. You can play around with this. I'm not gonna dive in too deeply. I'm gonna click Done for now. And then what I'm also gonna do is drag in a video block here. This brings up an important asterisk about building in ThriveCart Learn. ThriveCart does not host videos. So if you wanna use their course creation builder, you will need to find a separate video hosting tool. And those range from a couple dollars a month up to $15 or $20 per month. This adds a little bit of a gray area to the previous statement about how much money you can save using ThriveCart. But for me, at least, I'm already using video hosting in my business, so it's not an additional cost for me to host my videos and then embed them here. But I do think it's worth noting if you're considering ThriveCart as an option. Are you willing to host your videos on a separate platform? And then you would copy the embeddable code here. I'll show you how to do that shortly. For now, I'm going to continue building out my template. So maybe what I would do is change this text block to include my standard font as well. So once again, scrolling down here. And then the last part maybe I would change for now is just the continue button and the footer. Do you want to have a standard button or a full width button? Not my personal preference. Do you want to change the color, perhaps to something that matches a little bit more closely what we've been working on? You can change all of these. So now what we've done is we've built a template so that if you kept duplicating this in the future, you don't have to continue dragging and dropping in blocks. You can start from this pre-formatted lesson. Now, I also wanted to show you, if you click, I usually just click kind of near the top, that brings up the elements builder. I really think that this is where ThriveCart shines. They do have so many elements, and you can really customize exactly the order of each lesson. You might have some text-only lessons. You might have some with more than one video. You might try including headers, images, bullets, FAQs, Or you could utilize the HTML block to embed anything into your course. And for me, forms are a personal favorite, but these are all great options. You'll notice when you click on an element, it changes the menu on the side. So if you have an active element, the sidebar will reflect your options for that element. When I click a video, you can see how that changes here. These elements, when they're active, change the sidebar. When you click out, you go back to the main elements menu. I'm gonna go ahead and save this as a draft. It'll bring me back here. And now I should probably rename this lesson because this is now the template. And here's how you could clone it. So under this drop-down menu, I could click clone. And now this lesson, I'm actually gonna rename it right away. I'm gonna call this the bridge theory. I'll also show you how easy it is to reorder lessons just by dragging and dropping them. Now when I click edit for this lesson, it already has the starting branding and blocks that would apply to most of my lessons. So I have found this to be a time saver, but it's up to you if you want to go ahead with this or just add your lessons individually. Next, let's talk about how you can add videos to your ThriveCart Learn course. As I mentioned before, ThriveCart is not a video hosting platform. So you will need to host your videos elsewhere and then you'll embed them. So when I click on the video element, on the side, they're giving you a space to enter your embed code. And I'm going to use Loom as an example. And by the way, if curious to learn more about how I record and edit my videos in Loom, you'll find a link in the description below to that separate tutorial. But for now, I'm just going to head over to Loom to show you where you would find this code. Over in Loom, my video was already created. So when you click share, under the embed section, you want to copy the embed code. And then back over in ThriveCart, you'll just paste this here. And I would recommend making the video size probably 100, and then you'll click done to lock that in. You may also notice that even though this lesson is titled The Bridge Theory, it doesn't automatically apply that name here to the header. So if you wanted to include this block, you would need to title it. And this could present some small upkeep issues because if you change the title in the outline here, you would need to change it here as well. Or if you felt like that was too much work, you could delete this from your own template and then you wouldn't have to continue adjusting it. I'm going to actually publish this so that we can take a quick look to see what it looks like. You can see in the outline, this is the only lesson listed as published. I'm also going to go ahead and publish this one even though it's empty, but this will give us a better sense of a preview. So to see what students see, we're going to click the preview button on the top, and this will show us the course that we've been working on so far. So we have the bridge theory. This is the video that we just embedded. We have text below the video, which we could have updated. And then we have this mostly blank lesson that we haven't done anything to just yet. Remember how we updated the bottom to be our branding here? Because we didn't do that in this lesson, that didn't carry over. And so I'm just bringing this up to kind of reaffirm why the template lesson I think could be a best practice so that you don't have to adjust these settings for every new lesson. Let's close out of these. What I would do to build this course is I would come in here, I would clone the template enough times within this section, and then I would rename them to match all of the lessons needed for this module, this unit. After that, we could come back in here and click preview to see what that looks like. But I do want to just head back into maybe one more demo because I want to show you how to add resources. So let's say we're going to rename this one and I'm going to call this brainstorm course outcomes. And just to avoid confusion, I'm going to delete the original. So let's click edit. And in this case, we need to add the video. So let me just copy and paste that from Loom first. I've embedded the video. So now it's time to add a download. So maybe below this in the text, I might say something like action item, brainstorm your course outcome. And then let me click outside of this element. When this is active, it gives me the element options. I want the new elements. And let's go ahead and add a download here. This gives you the opportunity to upload your file by adding a URL here. So just as ThriveCart does not host videos, they also do not host downloadable files. So here it's up to you if you want to add an image and a file name. I honestly cannot be bothered to add images, so I typically turn this off. But what I'm going to do is double click here. So I would say maybe profitable course workbook. You could add a description if you'd want, description here, or you could disable it. So remember, if you click back into the element, now you have those options about what you do or do not want to include. And then you would need to host your file either through your WordPress site, through Dropbox, anywhere that you can host a link. you could paste it here. So I'm just gonna find a PDF as a quick example hosted from my WordPress site. As a quick aside, here you can see the PDFs that I've uploaded into the media section of my WordPress site. And if I click in here, I can copy that URL to my clipboard. And then back in ThriveCart, I can paste it here to activate it under this download button. So I'm gonna click done, and I'm gonna go ahead and publish this lesson as well. I'm not gonna continue adding more lessons, but you can see how easy it would be to continue building out lessons. And then let's just head into this preview. Here's what the lesson looks like. What I like about ThriveCart is the fact that this matches pretty much exactly what you see in the builder. So that's perhaps an advantage over other course platforms where sometimes the back-end admin dashboard doesn't look like the front-end builder. And if you're used to what's called a WYSIWYG editor, which is a fancy, kind of funny sounding word for what you see is what you get, then this is going to be a lot more intuitive because you're building in exactly the format that your students will see. I'm going to close out of this preview. I do still want to actually save this course, and I'm going to go back to my dashboard to show you a couple of other settings. First of all, to reorient, here we are back in the Learn dashboard. This is where the course is. You can preview it or edit it at any time, and you can continue to create more courses in the future. I also want to talk about how you can edit your student login page and your student dashboard. So here on the top, I can click Edit Student Login Page, and I don't think you need to do a ton here, but I think it's nice to brand this just a little bit so that it blends in more with your business. So along the side, you can see there's a background color. Even just changing this a bit makes a difference. The sidebar here, if I click on this element, you can see this background color does not exactly match Wit and Wire's branding. Maybe this looks a little bit better. Same thing if I click any of these elements, perhaps I would change the fonts to Lato to match everything we've been working on. If you click the form, you can see the button. If I click directly on the button, then you can see the button color. By the way, this I think was a good example. You may have noticed I clicked the form and then I didn't see the green, so I couldn't figure out where to edit it. Sometimes you just need to click right onto that element to find what you're looking for. So I would recommend you spend maybe just 5 minutes customizing the look and feel here, click save, and that brings us back into the dashboard. Next, let's edit your student dashboard. So after the login page, your students will hit this student dashboard. And it's giving me this alert. The course listing page is shown when they first sign in. I'm going to not show that again. And I actually came in here and I already customized just a few things to show you what you can do. So on the left, you can see you can change the nav bar color on the top. You can also click here, and then I've uploaded a logo so that it really feels like it's a part of your brand rather than just built in a whole new place. You can add elements to the top. And again, I think this is something so interesting about ThriveCart is the fact that this is basically just a page builder. If you wanted, you could add a video. You could welcome students to their course dashboard if you wanted to, although I'm gonna click on this element, or hover rather, to delete that. But I went ahead and just added this text, and to make it stand out a bit more, I added the background color since I thought that that looked nice against the white. But then this is where they can see the courses. So you can change the grid size. I only have one course built, but I think depending on how many courses you have, that could change what you do here. It's up to you if you show the author or not. Since I'm the author of all of my own courses, that felt a bit redundant. But once again, I like how easy it is in ThriveCart to really customize this so that it feels immediately like it's part of your cohesive brand. Let's click save and head back over here and just talk about a few more FAQs. The first question is, how do I price and sell this course? So I would recommend that you think of the Learn area as the place where you create your products. Then over here, even though this is technically called products, I think of this as offers. So this is where you can set your price and create your checkout pages. And this is the classic part of the ThriveCart experience. So under products, you can create a product and you are selling a digital product. And then here you would go through the ThriveCart checkout flow. The one I want to focus on today is fulfillment. So here's where you would enter your support email address. So mine is hello@witandwire.com. After purchase, you want to add them to your membership site. And then you can see ThriveCart Learn is the first option. I also have a native integration with Teachable. So ThriveCart is compatible with a lot of course building platforms. And I think over time they realized, maybe we could cut out that other platform and have people utilize ThriveCart Learn to stay using ThriveCart as much as possible. In the next dropdown, you would select which course they should be enrolled in and potentially which tags to apply. And this is where it gets super interesting because you can actually set different tags for different price points, for different promotions. It really opens up customization opportunities. As we've seen, there are quite a few advantages to ThriveCart, but I also want to talk about the drawbacks. So the first we've already covered. The lack of video hosting might be a deal breaker for some business owners, but if you're comfortable utilizing that second platform and embedding the videos, I think that it's very doable for a lot of users, even if you don't feel very tech savvy. If you can copy and paste, I believe in you to do the embeds. The second major drawback is the lack of analytics. So in other course creation platforms, you can track student progress and see how far along they are, and you can also see video stats, but you don't have anything similar in ThriveCart. That said, you do get video stats in the tool that you've used to host your videos. So if I'm using Loom, I could go over to Loom and see the stats on individual videos. It really just depends on that hosting tool. There are also a couple of other missing features that might be more important to some online business owners than others. So for example, ThriveCart does not have a community tool. You could embed a thread at the end of a lesson by using a third-party tool, but what I would recommend if you're looking to create a community for your course is that you use a third-party tool, and then in one of the lessons in your ThriveCart course, just give people the instructions to access that community. So if you are interested in my recommended community building platforms, you'll find more information on those in the description. Another possible drawback could be the fact that ThriveCart Learn does not have a mobile app for students. Personally, this doesn't bother me. My students utilize their course on a desktop computer, and I believe that's a better learning experience for a lot of students in a lot of online courses. But if you know that your students learn on the go, then this might not be the right fit for you. I also want to address a big question that might be on your mind. How hard is it to switch from my current course creation platform to ThriveCart? For some of you just starting your course business from scratch, this might not be a big deal. But if you're considering moving from one of the other big course creation platforms to ThriveCart, this would definitely be on my mind. And I think there are 3 parts to this equation. Part 1 is how difficult is it to build the new course in ThriveCart? This one's not too bad. Either you or a member of your team could probably spend an afternoon copying everything over one lesson at a time. So you would need to host all of your videos, embed all of them, put the text below. So it's a bit tedious, but I don't think it's too complicated, if that makes sense. And that is a one-time event you would need to do for each of your courses. Part 2 is where things get a little interesting. This is where you need to adjust all of your business processes and automations to switch from your current platform to ThriveCart. So for example, however your students are currently purchasing your course, do you need to switch your checkout page to ThriveCart? Do you need to switch the enrollment? Do you need to audit any of the emails that go out to students, including the welcome email with all of the details? There's a lot of detail work here, and you'll want to audit your entire process. So my best pro tip is to enroll in your course as a student, the current one, or the past one, I should say, and then just start to make notes about every little place where you mention links to the old platform, and you'll need to switch all of those over. The third and final part of the transition is telling your students. So you'll need to bulk import all of your students, which does require the Learn Plus plan, and then you will need to communicate with them about the change. So I would recommend making sure that everything is in place before you make that transition, and then just have maybe some set FAQs in mind that you or a team member could use to answer questions that might come into your support account. If you're ready to try it out, you can head to witandwire.com/ThriveCart. And for transparency, that is my affiliate link. If you found this video helpful, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to Wit and Wire for more online business tips. If you like this video, here's another one I think you might enjoy.